all these years, after all these miles, the taxi turned the final corner, and there it was, Midnight Harbour, waiting exactly where I left it. Yet somehow the harbor looks smaller than I remembered. The morning sun was rising from the sea, painting gold across familiar streets. The palm trees swayed exactly as before, guarding every shoreline and every door. The old ferry moved across the bay, following routes it always knew by heart. Its horn echoed softly through the air, like a voice calling me back there. The cafes opened one by one, preparing for another day begun. The smell of coffee drifted through the breeze, carrying memories with ease. And as I stood beside the waterline, watching sunlight dance on Pier 9, I realized something I couldn't ignore. The harbor looked smaller than before. Not because the city had changed, not because the sea had moved, but because the world had grown and so had I. The harbor looked smaller than I remembered, but somehow more beautiful than ever. Every street light, every wave, every shore meant even more. The harbor looked smaller than I remembered, like an old photograph I treasured, and every corner whispered my name, as if nothing had changed. The station where the trains once ran still stood exactly where it had. Platform 7 wore the same old rainbow. Years had passed between. The market square was full of life, children laughing beneath the light. Musicians played beneath the sun, as though the years had never come. I walked the roads I used to know, past places only memory could show. Each doorway carrying pieces of the past, moments built to last. And somewhere in the rhythm of the sea, I felt the city recognizing me, not as the dreamer who once left, but someone else instead. Not because the city had changed, not because the sea had moved, but because keeps sailing, the sea keeps shining, the city keeps breathing. And after all these years, I'm finally home. The harbor looks smaller than I remembered. The bell above the door still rang the same way. The coffee still smelled like morning. The harbor still shimmered beyond the window. And then the music started. The cafe still played our favorite record. The wooden floor remembered every step, as if the years had never truly left. Sunlight poured through the harborside glass, painting gold across the past. The waitress smiled and poured my usual cup, like somehow she still knew enough. The room was filled with conversations low, in the rhythm of life moving slow. Outside, the ferries crossed the bay. Inside, the old turntable began to play. A familiar bassline rolled through the air, and suddenly you were there. The needle danced across the vinyl groove, playing a song that taught our hearts to move. A melody wrapped in island skies and midnight lullabies. Some songs grow older, some songs remain, waiting patiently through the years. The cafe still played our favorite record, spinning memories I thought were gone forever. Every note floating through the room like flowers in bloom. Drifting through the air, found me standing there. The harbor breeze slipped through the open door, bringing the scent of the ocean shore. And every chord carried me away to another yesterday. I remembered summer nights beneath the moon, dancing while the sound system played that tune. The Blue Lantern Ballroom shining bright, holding us through the night. I remembered records spinning in apartment 7B, the rooftop where the city met the sea. The rain against the window pane, and your laughter in the rain. The years between us disappeared, as though the record had preserved them here, safe inside each melody, waiting faithfully. Some songs grow older, some songs remain, waiting patiently through the years. memory better than we do. A photograph captures a moment, a letter captures a thought. But a song captures a feeling. The way sunlight looked on the water, the way someone smiled across a table, the way a heart felt before it knew what was coming. That's why old records matter. They don't just play music, they reopen entire worlds. And sitting there by the harbor window, listening to that familiar melody, I realized something beautiful. The years had passed, but the feeling remained. Through the air, found me standing there. The ballad of the door still rings the same way. The coffee still smelled like morning. The harbor still shimmered beyond the window. And then the music started. The cafe still played our favorite record. The wooden floor remembered every step, as if the years had never truly left. The sunlight poured through the harborside glass, painting gold across the past. The waitress smiled and poured my usual cup, like somehow she still knew enough. The room was filled with conversations low, and the rhythm of life moving slow. Outside the ferries crossed the bay, inside the old turntable began to play. A familiar bassline rolled through the air, and suddenly you were there. The needle danced across the vinyl groove, playing the song that taught our hearts to move. A melody wrapped in island skies and midnight lullabies. Some songs grow older, some songs remain, waiting patiently through the years. The cafe still played out. Third floor, end of the hallway. The same old building, the same ocean view, the same faded numbers on the door. 304. But when I arrived, someone else lived there now. The elevator hummed its familiar song, carrying me slowly along, past memories sleeping behind each wall, waiting for my call. The hallway looked smaller than before, sunlight spilling across the floor, the scent of ocean drifting through the air, as if the past was still there. Room 304 stood quietly ahead, holding years inside my head. The place where dreams once learned to fly, beneath a Caribbean sky. My hand paused gently near the door, remembering everything it had seen before. The laughter, music, midnight talks, and moonlit harbor walks. Some places keep memories the same sunset touch the sea that once belonged to me. Someone else lives in room 304 now, making brand new memories somehow. And standing there beneath the afternoon light, everything felt right. Echoed from inside, followed by laughter I couldn't recognize. The sound carried through the hallway air, like life continuing there. A suitcase rested near the bed, different stories lying ahead, different dreams beneath the moon, different lovers humming different tunes. The balcony still faced the harbor tide, where ferries drifted side by side, and seagulls painted circles in the blue, just as they used to do. I realized the room was never mine. I was simply borrowing a little time, one chapter among many still to come, beneath the same warm sun. Some places keep memories, some places keep time, some places teach us how to say goodbye. Someone else lives in room 304 now, hanging their photographs on the wall somehow, watching the same sunset touch the sea that once belonged to me. Someone else lives in room 304 now, making brand new memories somehow. And standing there beneath the afternoon light, everything felt right. Maybe that's the final lesson of returning, not discovering what remains, but discovering what continues. The room didn't stop living when I left. The harbor didn't stop breathing. The cafe didn't stop playing records. Life kept unfolding. New conversations, new laughter, new dreams. And strangely, instead of sadness, I felt grateful, because every beautiful place deserves new stories, just as every heart deserves new chapters. Someone else lives in room 304 now, hanging their photographs on the wall somehow, watching the same sunset touch the sea that once belonged to me. Someone else lives in room 304 now, making brand new memories somehow. And standing there beneath the afternoon light, everything felt right. Someone else lives in room 304 now. And as I turned to leave, somehow I smiled, because the room was doing exactly what it should, holding another life as beautifully as it once held mine. The hallway grows quiet, the elevator descends, the harbor keeps shining, and behind the door of room 304, a new story begins. Someone else lives there now. gently against the dock, and as I stepped aboard, the captain looked up and smiled. The ferry captain remembered my face. The sunrise painted gold upon the bay, just like it did in younger days. The ferry ropes were singing in the breeze, along with memories. The harbor hummed its familiar song as passengers slowly came along, coffee cups and newspapers in hand, ready for another crossing. I walked across the weathered wooden deck, past years I thought I'd left, the ocean shining underneath the sky, where old dreams used to fly. Then from the wheelhouse came a voice, warm as the morning light. Well, look who's finally come back home. And suddenly time slows. Some people forget names, some people forget years, but some hearts remember everything. The ferry captain remembered my face, like no time had passed in this place. Every mile between then and now disappeared somehow. The ferry captain remembered my face, and in that simple moment of grace, the harbor felt exactly the same as he called me by my name. He laughed and pointed toward the sea, still chasing horizons I see. The wrinkles near his eyes had grown, like maps of places known. The ferry drifted out beyond the pier, cutting through waters bright and clear. The city shining softly from behind, like a postcard come alive. He spoke about the years gone by, the storms that crossed the sky, the ferries that had come and gone, and mornings that moved on. Yet somehow in his steady voice, the harbor still survived, not trapped inside yesterday, but beautifully alive. Some people forget names, some people forget years, but some hearts remember everything. The ferry captain remembered my face, like no time had passed in this place. Every mile between then and now disappeared somehow. The ferry captain remembered my face, and in that simple moment of grace, the harbor felt exactly the same as he called me by my name. Maybe home isn't a place, maybe it's recognition, the feeling that somewhere in this world someone remembers who you were, not because you're famous, not because you're important, but because you matter. A familiar smile, a familiar voice, a simple welcome home. Sometimes that's all it takes to realize you've never truly been lost. The sea remembers, the harbor remembers, and sometimes so do the people. Remembered my face. ferry captain remembered my face. Welcome home. The palms were dancing again. The sea was glowing again. The harbor was wearing sunshine once more, as if no time had passed at all. And standing there beside the water, I realized something beautiful. Summer returned before we did. The sunlight poured across the bay, just like those forgotten days, turning every wave to liquid gold, like stories waiting to be told. Children laughed along the shore, the same way they had before, while sailboats drifted through the blue, as though they remembered too. The market square was alive again, filled with music on the wind, the scent of coconut and sea salt air floating everywhere. The season had arrived on time, without a calendar or sign, faithful as the turning tide, waiting by the shoreline. Some promises fade, some people roam, but summer always finds its way home. Summer returned before we did, bringing back all the dreams we hid. Every sunset painting the harbor sky, like a sweet reply. Summer returned before we did, opening doors we thought were sealed, and every warm breeze crossing the sea brought a little peace to me. The Blue Lantern Ballroom open wide, its window shining in the light. Music spilled out onto the street, carrying a familiar beat. The ferry crossed the harbor line, passing gently beyond Pier 9, while seagulls painted circles high across the endless sky. I thought about the years away, the roads and cities far from the bay, the stations, plains and distant shores, the countless open doors. Yet somehow standing there once more, the season taught me something more, that life keeps blooming while we roam. Even when we're gone, some promises fade, some people roam, but summer always finds its way home. Summer returned before we did, bringing back all the dreams we hid. maybe I belonged here too. The blue lantern still glowed above the doorway, soft as moonlight, warm as memory. And as I stepped inside, the years melted away. The Blue Lantern Ballroom, after all these years. Hey. The wooden dance floor shined beneath the light, just as it had on countless nights. The chandelier still painted golden stars across the room and every heart. The band was tuning up on stage like guardians of another age. The bassline humming low and sweet, calling everyone to their feet. Couples gathered near the floor, just like they had years before, laughing softly beneath the glow, while the ocean breeze moved slow. And somewhere between the first and second song, I felt that I belonged, as if the ballroom had patiently remained, waiting through the years. Some places grow older, some places grow wise, some places keep dancing through time. The Blue Lantern Ballroom, after all these years, still turning memories into cheers. Every lover's rock rhythm in the air felt like a prayer. The Blue Lantern Ballroom, after all these years, still shining through the joy and tears. And every melody floating through the night made everything feel right. The saxophone rose like a summer moon, filling every corner of the room. The drummer brushed the rhythm soft and low, like waves against the shore. I remember dancing here before, when life seemed smaller than the world, when every song felt endless in its flight, and tomorrow felt so bright. The harbor lights shimmered through the glass, like old reflections from the past. Yet nothing here felt trapped in yesterday. The ballroom had found a way to honor every story ever told, while welcoming the new and bold. A bridge between what used to be and what would always be. Some places grow older, some places grow wise, some places keep dancing through time. The Blue Lantern Ballroom, after all these years, still turning memories into cheers. Every lover's rock rhythm in the air felt like a prayer. The Blue Lantern Ballroom, after all these years, still shining through the joy and tears. And every melody floating through the night made everything feel right. Maybe that's why dance halls matter. Not because of the walls, not because of the lights, not even because of the music, but because they gather moments. First dances, last dances, unexpected meetings, beautiful goodbyes, every laugh, every embrace, every dream carried across the floor. The Blue Lantern Ballroom wasn't preserving the past, it was continuing the tradition, creating new memories, one song at a time. Keeps glowing, the band keeps playing, the dancers keep moving, and somewhere beneath the harbor stars, the ballroom lives on. The Blue Lantern Ballroom, after all these years. The sky slowly turns silver, the harbor winds grew stronger, the ferries hurried back toward the docks, and somewhere beyond the horizon, the rain was coming. The rain arrived right on time. The morning had been warm and bright, sunlight dancing on the tide. But by afternoon the clouds rolled in like an old forgotten friend. The palm trees whispered to the breeze, the harbor shifted with the sea, and every girl that crossed the sky seemed to know the reason why. I stood beside the waterfront, watching the weather slow led me here. The cafe windows caught the rain, drawing silver rivers down the panes. Inside the old record softly played, while the storm serenade. The Blue Lantern Ballroom lights glowed gold against the weather growing cold, and dancers gathered close inside, while thunder crossed the tide. The ferry captain waved once more from the shelter of the shore, his smile steady through the gray, like it had always been that way. And standing there beneath the sky, I didn't ask the storm why, because for the first time I could see it wasn't here against me. Some storms arrive to break things, some storms arrive to heal, and this one carried something real. The rain arrived right on time, falling softly through the harbor light, washing yesterday into the sea, setting something free in me. The rain arrived right on time, turning every memory into a sign that every road and every tear had led me here. Maybe healing isn't sunshine, maybe healing is rain, the kind that falls after a long season, the kind that nourishes roots you forgot were growing, the kind that reminds the earth how to breathe. For years I thought strength meant carrying everything, every goodbye, every regret, every unfinished sentence. But standing there beneath that rainfall, I learned something different. Strength isn't holding on forever. Strength is knowing when to let the rain take it, and trusting that what remains is enough. The rain arrived right on time, falling softly through the harbor light, washing yesterday into the sea, setting something free in me. The rain arrived right on time, turning every memory into a sign that every road and every tear had led me here. The rain arrived right on time, and somewhere between the clouds and tide, I realized the storm had come, not to end the story, but to begin another one. The rain keeps falling, the harbor keeps shining, the sea keeps breathing, and somewhere beneath the storm clouds, a new chapter grows. The rain arrived right on time. The tide was gentle, the ferries moved slowly across the bay, the sky glowed amber and gold, and standing once again at Pier Nine, I finally understood why I had come back. Pier Nine at golden hour. harbor shimmered calm and bright, preparing for another night. The old wooden boards beneath my feet still carried echoes of the street, the laughter drifting from the shore like songs I'd heard before. The ferries crossed their fateful lines beneath the glow of golden skies, and every wave that touched the pier seemed happy I was here. The wind carried salt and summer air, the kind that finds you everywhere. And standing where the journey once began, I smiled again. Some places change us, some places stay, waiting patiently through the years. Pier Nine, a golden hour, bathed in sunlight like a flower. Every reflection dancing on the sea felt like home to me. Pier Nine, a golden hour, holding memory and power. And every wave rolling to the shore made me grateful for more. I remembered standing here before, watching a ferry leave the shore, heart full of questions and unknown roads, carrying a heavy load. I remembered midnight train departures, clouds beneath airplane windows, letters drifting beyond the breakwater line, and all those distant signs. I remembered room 304, the ballroom, and the harbor shore, the captain calling out my name, and summer's warm embrace. Every chapter flowed together now like currents beneath the bow, not separate stories scattered by the sea, but pieces of me. Some places change us, some places stay, waiting patiently through the years. Pier Nine, a golden hour, bathed in sunlight like a flower. Every reflection dancing on the sea felt like home to me. Pier Nine, a golden hour, holding memory and power. And every wave rolling to the shore made me grateful for more. Maybe gratitude is the final destination, not success, not certainty, not even happiness, but gratitude for every person who appeared, every person who left, every train, every ferry, every storm, every sunrise, every heartbreak, every miracle. Because without them, you wouldn't become who you are. Standing there beneath that golden sky, I felt no desire to go backward, no desire to stay frozen, only appreciation for the journey, finally saw what the years were for, standing on this shore. The ferries keep moving, the sea keeps shining, the sun keeps setting, and somewhere beyond the harbor light, tomorrow waits. Pier 9 at golden hour. Pier 9 at golden hour. The evening sunlight touched the sea like liquid gold surrounding me. The harbor shimmered calm and bright, preparing for another night. The old wooden boards beneath my feet still carried echoes of the street, the laughter drifting from the shore like songs I'd heard before. The ferries crossed their fateful lines beneath the glow of golden skies, and every wave that touched the pier seemed happy I was here. The wind carried salt and summer air, the kind that finds you everywhere. And standing where the journey once began, I smiled again. Some places change. The ferry still cross the bay, the lantern still glows above the ballroom, the waves still whisper against Pier 9, and somewhere in the distance a familiar song drifts across the water. Some stories never leave the harbor. The evening settles softly on the sea, painting gold where blue used to be. The harbor breathed beneath the fading sky like it never learned goodbye. The café slowly turned their lights on as another day moved gently on, while seagulls traced circles overhead above the waters where memories spread. The ferries carried strangers to and fro, following routes they seemed to know, just as countless others did before, departing from these shores and standing by the railing once again. I could feel the lives that had been layered like reflections on the tide, forever side by side. Some journeys end, some journeys begin, but every story leaves a trace. Some stories never leave the harbor, they remain within the water. Every wave carries echoes through the years of laughter, love, and tears. Some stories never leave the harbor, they become part of something larger, living in the sunlight and the rain again and again, again and again. I thought about the room above the sea, the cafe and its old melodies, the captain smiling from the ferry line, and summer's golden shine. I thought about the ballroom's lantern glow, the storms that taught me how to grow, the train stations and distant skies, the letters and goodbyes. Every chapter seemed to gather near, like voices only the heart could hear. Not demanding that I stay, only reminding me of the way. The harbor wasn't holding on, it wasn't trapped inside a song. It simply carried every tale, like wind inside a sail. Some journeys end, some journeys begin, but every story leaves a trace. Oh, some stories never leave the harbor, they remain within the water. Every wave carries echoes through the years of laughter, love, and tears. Some stories never leave the harbor, they become part of something larger, living in the sunlight and the rain again and again. Maybe that's what home really is. Not a building, not an address, not even a city. Maybe home is the collection of stories that shaped us. The people we met, the songs we heard, the places we loved, the roads we traveled, the versions of ourselves we became. And when those stories become part of a place, the place carries them forward long after we're gone. The harbor remembers, the sea remembers, the music remembers, and somehow that's enough. Some stories never leave the harbor. Some stories never leave the harbor. Some stories never leave the harbor. Some stories never leave the harbor, because love becomes the harbor, and every soul who passes through leaves something true. The ferries keep sailing, the ballroom keeps glowing, the records keep spinning, the tide keeps returning, and somewhere beneath the harbor stars, the stories remain. Some stories never leave the harbor, fade into waves.